Jake woke up early the next morning, the light of the rising sun barely breaking through the thick trees that surrounded his camp. The air was cool and the island seemed peaceful, but Jake knew that everything was about to change. Lyra had asked for his help, and he had agreed, but now that the decision was made, he felt the weight of what he was about to do. He looked over at her, still asleep beside the campfire, her breathing slow and steady, long dark hair spilled across her face, and for a moment she looked like any other person, just another survivor stranded on an island. But Jake knew better. She was no ordinary woman. She was from another world, and whatever mission she had, it was going to pull him into something far bigger than he had ever imagined. Lyra stirred, her eyes slowly opening. She stretched, then sat up and looked around. When she saw Jake, she gave him a small, knowing smile. "Good morning, Jake," she said softly. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the quiet urgency in it. The same urgency that had been in her eyes the night before. "Morning," Jake replied, trying to hide the nervousness in his voice. "So what's the plan?" Lyra stood and dusted off her clothes. "First, we need to fix the ship. It's not as complicated as it sounds. I'll guide you through it. But before we begin, there's something I need to tell you." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Something else? More secrets?" Lyra hesitated, then nodded. "There's a lot you don't know. I wasn't entirely honest with you last night. Not just here because my ship crashed. My people sent me here for a reason." Jake stood up and walked over to her, crossing his arms. "All right, I'm listening." Lyra took a deep breath. "I come from a place called Aloria. It's a peaceful civilization, one that's been around for thousands of years. But for the past few decades, we've been under attack by a faction known as the Zyril. They're ruthless, violent, and they've been hunting us across the galaxy." Jake frowned. "So, the people who attacked you are part of this faction?" "Right, yes," Lyra replied. "I was sent to gather information about them, to find out where they're hiding and what their plans are. But when I arrived on this planet, my ship was sabotaged. I was left stranded, with no way to contact my people. They've been searching for me, but without my ship, I can't reach them." Jake absorbed everything she was saying, but there was one thing that didn't sit right with him. "Why are you telling me all this now? I mean, you could have said something before." Lyra looked down, her face tense with worry. "I didn't trust you at first. I wasn't sure if you'd believe me or if I could count on you. And now, I have no choice. You're the only one who can help me fix the ship. And once it's fixed, we can get out of here and I can contact my people. But time is running out." Jake stepped back, his mind racing. "And if I help you, what happens then?" Lyra turned to face him. "We'll be able to stop the Zyril before they destroy more of my people. You'll have access to advanced technology, and you'll understand things that no one on Earth has ever known. But there's a price. Helping me means you'll be part of something much bigger, something that could change everything." Jake took a deep breath. This was all more than he had signed up for. When he agreed to help Lyra, he hadn't expected to be drawn into a galactic conflict. He'd come to this island to escape, not to get involved in a war. "Why Earth?" Jake asked, his voice filled with confusion. "Why would they come after Earth?" Lyra's eyes darkened. "The Zyril are not just after my people. They want control of the entire galaxy, and they'll stop at nothing to get it. Earth has resources they want, resources that could give them the power they need to wipe out entire civilizations. They've already started to attack other planets. If we don't stop them, Earth will be next." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The idea that Earth could be in danger, that he and everyone he knew could be caught in the middle of this war, was terrifying. But something inside him told him Lyra wasn't lying. There was a sense of urgency in her voice, a sense of desperation that he couldn't ignore. "So what do we do now?" Jake asked. Lyra took a step forward, her expression determined. "We fix my ship. It's the only way we can get off this island and get to my people, but I can't do it alone. I need you to help me." Jake looked at her, trying to weigh the decision in his mind. Helping her meant getting involved in something much bigger than himself, something dangerous. But at the same time, it felt like the right thing to do. If there was a chance to stop the Zyral, to protect Earth from whatever they were planning, he couldn't just walk away. "I'll help you," Jake said, finally making up his mind. "But I need to know everything. No more secrets." Lyra's face softened, and she nodded. "I'll tell you everything, Jake. I promise. But we have to move quickly. Time is running out." The two of them spent the rest of the morning working together, gathering tools from the wreckage of Lyra's ship and preparing to repair it. As they worked, Jake couldn't help but think about how much his life had changed in such a short amount of time. Just a few days ago, he had been on a simple sailing trip, trying to get away from it all. Now, he was working with an alien woman. To stop a galaxy-wide war, the weight of what they were about to do wasn't lost on him. But one thing was clear: there was no turning back now. Jake had always been fascinated by remote, uninhabited places. The thought of discovering something new on an isolated island excited him more than anything. He was an experienced sailor, and his adventurous spirit led him to explore places that most people would never dare to go. It was during one of his solo trips when a sudden storm caught him by surprise. The wind howled, and the waves were massive, pushing his small boat far off course. He tried everything he could to keep the boat under control, but the storm was too powerful. By the time the rain stopped and the winds died down, Jake found himself stranded on an unfamiliar island. The island was unlike anything he had seen before. It was covered in thick forests, the trees towering over him like ancient giants. He made his way along the shore, hoping to find shelter or even signs of civilization. After hours of searching, he spotted something unusual. It wasn't a building or a structure, but rather a small, glowing light coming from a clearing in the forest. Curiosity got the better of him, and he cautiously made his way toward it. As he walked through the dense trees, the light grew brighter, and soon he stumbled into a small open area. There, lying on the ground, was a woman. She was unconscious, her long hair tangled and matted with dirt. She wore strange metallic clothing that seemed out of place in the wild surroundings. Her skin had an unusual glow to it, almost like it was radiating light, and Jake immediately knew she was not from this world. Jake knelt beside her, his heart racing. "You okay?" he whispered, unsure of what to do. She didn't respond. He checked for signs of life, and to his relief, he felt her breath weak but steady. Without wasting any more time, he carefully lifted her into his arms and started walking back toward his camp. He didn't know who she was or where she came from, but he couldn't leave her here alone as he reached his shelter. Jake laid her down on his makeshift bed of branches and leaves. He examined her clothing, finding intricate designs that seemed to change color depending on the angle of the light. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her clothes weren't made of fabric. They were more like a flexible, shimmering material, as if they had been crafted by a civilization. It's far more advanced than his own. Jake went to the small fire he had started earlier and used the heat to boil some water. He wasn't a doctor, but he knew the basics of first aid. Carefully dipped a cloth into the hot water and used it to clean her face. Slowly, she started to stir. Her eyelids fluttered open, revealing eyes that were unlike anything Jake had ever seen, bright, almost glowing, with shades of silver and blue swirling inside. For a moment, she just stared at him, clearly confused. Jake took a step back, giving her space. "Who are you?" she finally asked, her voice soft but with a strange melodic quality to it. "I'm Jake," he stammered. "I found you out in the woods. You were unconscious." The woman blinked several times, still unsure of where she was. "Where am I?" she asked. "What is this place?" "You're on an island," Jake explained. "But I was shipwrecked here. And you? You've been here for a while?" "It seems," she nodded slowly, as if processing his words. I don't remember," she whispered. "I was lost in space. My ship crashed. I was alone. How long have I been here?" Jake frowned. "I'm not sure. A couple of days, maybe more." He paused. "You're not from around here, are you?" The woman's eyes flickered, and she seemed to hesitate before answering. "No," she replied quietly. "I am not from your world." Jake's curiosity grew. "Who are you then? Where are you from?" She looked at him for a long time, her eyes studying him carefully, almost as if weighing her options. Finally, she spoke again, this time more cautiously. I am Lyra, from the Eloria system. Jake blinked in confusion. Eloria, I've never heard of it? That is not surprising, Lyra said, her voice tinged with sadness. Not many have. Jake's mind raced. He'd been on many adventures, but never had he encountered someone like her. So, what happened to you? How did you end up on this island? Lyra took a deep breath and began to explain. My ship was attacked by a rogue faction, and we were forced to make an emergency landing. I ended up on this island. My people are searching for me, but I have no way to contact them. My ship is damaged, and I can't repair it alone. Jake listened, intently trying to make sense of everything she was saying. So, you're stranded here too? Yes, Lyra replied. I'm stranded, but not for long. I need help to repair my ship, and you're the first person I've met on this planet who could help me. Jake looked at her, unsure of what to say. This all seemed too strange. An alien woman stranded on an island. It felt like something out of a science fiction novel, but here she was, right in front of him. Why me? He asked, still skeptical. Why would you ask me for help? I don't know anything about fixing alien ships. Lyra smiled softly, her eyes sparkling with a mixture of hope and something else, something more mysterious. You don't need to know how. I can teach you, she said. In exchange for your help, I can offer you something. More than you could ever imagine. Jake stared at her, his heart pounding. What kind of offer? Lyra's smile widened. An offer you won't refuse. Jake sat beside the fire, staring at the flames as they flickered in the cool night air. He couldn't stop thinking about the strange woman he had found on the island. Her name was Lyra, and she had come from a place he couldn't even begin to understand. Her story sounded like something from a sci-fi book, something he would never have believed if he hadn't seen her with his own eyes. He looked over at her. Sitting across the campfire, she seemed calm, even though she had been through so much. She looked so different from anyone he had ever met. Her skin smooth and glowing with a soft light, her eyes filled with mystery, and the strange clothes she wore, all of it made him wonder if she was telling the truth. Lyra noticed Jake's gaze and smiled. You have questions, I can tell, she said, her voice soft, yet confident. Yeah, a few, Jake replied. I mean, how can I help you? I don't know anything about fixing alien ships. I don't even know what to believe right now. Lyra's smile faded just slightly, but she didn't look upset. Instead, she seemed thoughtful, as if she had expected Jake to have doubts. I understand, she said, looking into the fire. It's a lot to take in, but I can teach you. The technology I have isn't that different from what you already know. With a little guidance, you can learn how to repair my ship. But in return, I need something from you. Jake raised an eyebrow. What exactly do you need from me? Lyra's eyes shifted, becoming more serious. I need your trust, and I need your help to complete my mission. The faction that attacked my ship, the one that forced me to crash here, they're still out there, and they've been hunting me. I can't escape them alone, but you can help me. Jake frowned. What do you mean, help you? What kind of mission are you talking about? Lyra leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping to a more urgent tone. My people are at war. The faction that attacked they've been causing chaos across the galaxy. They've already destroyed entire civilizations. My mission is to stop them before they destroy any more. She paused, letting her words sink in. And Earth. The thought of Earth being in danger, something so big and far away, seemed impossible. Why should I trust you? He asked, his voice low. How do I even know you're telling the truth? For all I know, this could be some kind of trap. Lyra didn't flinch. I understand your fear, but you must believe me. My people are peaceful. We only want to stop those who bring harm to others. We've never been the aggressors. We just want to survive. I can help you, Jake. I can offer you knowledge, power, and technology beyond your wildest dreams. But I need your help. Jake sat back, his mind racing. This was all so much to process. He had always dreamed of adventure, but this was far beyond anything he could have imagined. A part of him wanted to refuse. He didn't want to get involved in some galactic war, especially with someone he barely knew. But there was something about Lyra, something that made him believe her. The way she spoke, the honesty in her eyes, it felt real. "You're asking me to trust you, but you're not telling me everything," Jake said, his voice firm but calm. "What else is there?" "I told you, I will teach you how to fix my ship, and I'll help you understand things that no human has ever known. The technology I carry can change everything for you, for humanity. But there is a price. If you help me, you'll be drawn into something bigger than you can imagine. The war, the danger, it's real. There's no going back once you're in." Jake's heart was pounding in his chest. "And if I say no?" Lyra's expression darkened, but only slightly. "Then I leave. My people might never find me, and Earth will remain at risk. It will take longer for the faction to find you, but it's only a matter of time before they target your world. I wish I could offer you more time, but I can't." Jake sat quietly for a moment, processing everything she had said. His mind was racing with questions, doubts, and fears. But there was also something else, a spark of curiosity, an urge to know more, to help. "You say you can teach me," Jake said slowly. "But how do I even start? How do I help you when I don't know anything about this kind of technology?" Lyra's eyes brightened. "I will show you. My ship's systems are based on principles you can understand. The technology isn't as different as you think. It's just more advanced. You'll learn fast, Jake. I promise you that." Jake took a deep breath. He didn't know what to do. Everything inside him told him to be cautious, too. Walk away. But another part of him, a part that had always craved adventure, wanted to take the chance. He looked at Lyra, who was waiting patiently for his decision. "Okay," he said finally, his voice steady, but with a hint of uncertainty. "I'll help you, but I need to know everything. And no more secrets." Lyra nodded. "I'll tell you everything. I promise." Jake stood up, feeling a rush of determination mixed with fear. If she was telling the truth, this could change everything for humanity. And if it was a trap, well, he would deal with that when the time came. As he looked at Lyra, her serious expression softened. She smiled, a genuine smile that made Jake feel like he wasn't alone anymore. Whatever was ahead of them, he knew one thing for sure. His life would never be the same again. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the island. Jake and Lyra had spent most of the day working on her ship, repairing what they could with the limited tools they had. Despite the calm appearance of the island, Jake's mind was far from at ease. There were too many unanswered questions, too many things that didn't add up. He had trusted Lyra, believed in her story, but something was nagging at him. They sat around the campfire as the day turned to night. The soft crackling of the fire was the only sound that filled the silence between them. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that he had missed something important, something Lyra hadn't told him yet. "Are you sure we're doing this right?" asked, breaking the silence. "I mean, you've been saying the ship is almost ready, but it doesn't look like much has changed." Lyra looked over at him, her expression unreadable. "We're making progress, but there's still a lot of work left. The power core needs recalibration, and the navigation system needs a complete overhaul. We'll need to work through the night. If we want to finish it before they find us." Jake nodded, though he wasn't convinced. The ship didn't seem any closer to being functional, and his patience was running thin. It had been days since he found her, and he had yet to fully understand the extent of her mission or her true intentions. "What exactly do you need me for?" Jake asked, his voice growing more serious. "I know you said I could help with the repairs. But I don't know anything about alien technology. I've been following your instructions, but I'm starting to wonder if you're just using me." Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly, and for a moment, Jake thought he saw a flicker of something, emotion he couldn't quite place. She stood up, walking over to the wreckage of the ship, her back to him. "I'm not using you, Jake. You agreed to help me. You've done more than I expected. But the truth is, I need more than just your help with the ship." Jake felt his stomach tighten. There was something in her voice now, something that didn't sit right with him. "What do you mean by that?" Lyra turned slowly, her gaze meeting his. "I mean that I need you for my mission." "I've been lying to you, Jake. I haven't been completely honest." Jake stood up, suddenly feeling like the ground was slipping beneath his feet. "What are you talking about? You said your people were in danger, that the Zyril were after you." Are you saying that was a lie? Lyra's face softened, but her eyes remained cold, distant. No, that part was true. The Zyral are after me, and I do need your help. But what I didn't tell you is why you're so important. Jake's mind raced. Why am I important? I'm just a guy from Earth. I don't know anything about your war, or your people, or your technology. Lyra stepped closer, her tone quiet but firm. Because you're the key to everything. See, the Zyral didn't just target my ship. They've been watching Earth for years. They knew that a species like yours could be a threat. They've been studying you, Jake, and I was sent here to find someone who could help me get the information I need. Jake felt a cold chill wash over him. You're saying that I was part of your plan all along? Not exactly, Lyra said. Her voice steady. I didn't expect to find you. But when I did, I realized that you were the perfect candidate. You're human, yes, but you have something that the Zyral can't predict. They don't understand your species the way they think. They do. Jake shook his head, feeling like he had been slapped in the face. So you've been using me this whole time? From the moment you crashed on this island, you were just waiting for the right person to help you. Lyra's expression softened again. But there was no apology in her eyes, only resolve. I didn't want to deceive you, Jake, but you have to understand. This is bigger than both of us. I've been sent to stop the Zyral before they destroy everything, and you're a part of that plan. Without you, there's no hope. Jake's mind was spinning. Everything he thought he knew about Lyra, everything he believed about their mission, was all falling apart. So, what now? He asked, his voice a mix of anger and disbelief. What am I supposed to do now? Help you finish your ship so you can take me to fight this war? That's what you really want, isn't it? Lyra's eyes met his with an almost desperate intensity. I need your help, Jake. The Zyral aren't just a threat to me. They're a threat to everyone, your world included. The only way to stop them is to work together. Jake turned away, pacing back and forth as he tried to process everything. His heart was racing, his mind conflicted. He had trusted her. He had agreed to help her. But now, the truth was clearer, and it felt like a betrayal. It wasn't just a bystander in her mission. He was a tool, a piece in a much larger game that he hadn't even understood. Why didn't you just tell me this from the start? Jake asked, his voice rising. Why all the lies? Why make me believe I was helping you just because you were stranded? Lyra stayed silent for a moment, then spoke softly. Because I didn't want to lose your help. I needed you to believe in me, Jake. I needed you to trust me. But I see now that I should have told you everything sooner. Jake's heart was heavy with the weight of what he was learning. He had been part of something he didn't fully understand. A part of a war he hadn't signed up for. He had trusted Lyra, and now it felt like that trust was shattered. I don't know what to believe anymore, Jake said quietly, more to himself than to Lyra. You've given me a choice, but I don't even know what I'm choosing anymore. Lyra reached out, touching his arm gently. You're not alone in this, Jake. Together, we can stop the Zyral. Together, we can save your planet. But you have to decide. Are you in, or are you out? Jake looked into her eyes, and for the first time, he saw the full weight of the responsibility. In her gaze, it wasn't just about a ship or survival, it was about the future of two worlds. But could he really trust her after all the secrets? Let me think about it, Jake said, pulling away. I need time. Lyra nodded, her expression unreadable. I understand. But make your decision soon, Jake. Time is running out. The next morning, Jake woke up earlier than usual. He had barely slept, tossing and turning through the night. The weight of his decision hung heavily in his mind. Lyra had told him the truth, at least part of it. She needed, but she also made it clear that the stakes were far higher than anything he had ever imagined. The whole situation felt overwhelming. Just a few days ago, Jake was a man trying to escape the noise and stress of his life. Now he was tangled in a galactic war, caught between the need to help a stranded alien and the desire to protect his own planet. He couldn't help but feel lost, uncertain about what the right choice was. As he sat on the edge of his camp, looking out at the ocean, Lyra approached him. She had spent the morning working on the ship again, and even though she was tired, There was a determination in her step. Jake knew that she was depending on him, but he still wasn't sure if he could trust her completely. "Jake, we don't have much time," Lyra said softly, sitting next to him. Her eyes were filled with urgency, but also something else, hope. "The Zyril are getting closer. They'll be here soon if we don't finish the repairs. I need your help now more than ever." Jake took a deep breath, trying to sort through his feelings. "You've asked a lot from me, Lyra. You've told me so much, but I'm still not sure what to believe. I agreed to help you, but now, after everything, I don't know if I can." Lyra's eyes flashed with a mix of frustration and understanding. "I understand why you're confused. I didn't want to deceive you, Jake. I really didn't. But sometimes, in a situation like this, you have to make hard choices. You can't always tell the truth right away, especially when it could cost you everything." Jake shook his head. "But I'm not just a pawn in your mission, Lyra. I'm not some tool you can use to get what you want. I trusted you. And now, I don't even know what your plan is anymore." Lyra leaned forward, her voice dropping to a quiet, serious tone. "My plan is to save my people. If you don't help me, Jake, we'll both lose everything. The Zyril are already planning their next move. If we don't stop them, they'll destroy your world, your home. Earth will be their next target." Jake looked down at his hands, the weight of her words sinking in. Earth, his home, the place he loved, was it really in danger? It sounded impossible, but everything Lyra had told him pointed to the same terrifying truth. The Zyril weren't just a threat to her people, they were coming for humanity too. Lyra's voice softened, almost pleading. "I can't do this. Without you, I've been sent here because my people believe you can help. Your planet, your people, none of this is just coincidence, Jake. You have a part to play in this, even if you don't see it yet." Jake sat in silence, his mind racing. He had never imagined something like this being caught in a conflict that spanned the stars, where his decisions could mean the difference between life and death for millions. It was too much to ask of anyone, let alone someone who just wanted a quiet life. But as he looked at Lyra, something shifted inside him. She wasn't just some alien woman on a mission. She had shown him vulnerability, fear, and trust. She had given him a chance, a way to help, and maybe, just maybe, that was all he could do. He turned to face her, his expression more resolute. "All right, I'll help you, but I need you to promise me something. No more secrets, no more lies. If we're going to do this, I need to know everything. I need to understand what I'm really getting into." Lyra's face softened, and she nodded. "I promise, Jake. I'll tell you everything. No more hiding the truth." Jake stood up, the decision made. He knew it wouldn't be easy, and he wasn't fooling himself into thinking it would all work out. But he had made his choice. He would help Lyra. Not because of the power she promised, or the technology she could offer, but because Earth needed him too. "We need to get back to work," Jake said, his voice firm now. "You said the repairs are almost done? Let's finish this." Lyra smiled, a look of genuine gratitude crossing her face. "Thank you, Jake. You don't know how much this means to me." They walked back to the wreckage of her ship, and Jake set to work with renewed focus. The pieces of the ship were starting to make more sense now. Lyra's guidance was invaluable, and slowly the ship began to take shape again. As they worked, the tension between them faded, replaced by a shared determination. There was no turning back now. They were in this together. Later that evening, as they sat by the fire, their conversation turned more personal. Lyra opened up about her people, about her home planet of Aloria, and the peace they had once known. She told Jake about the beauty of her world, the cities made of crystal and light, the way her people lived in harmony with nature. It was a world far different from Earth, yet in many ways the same. Her people had once been like Earth-enescent, hopeful, full of potential. "We thought we were untouchable," Lyra said softly, gazing into the fire. "But we were wrong. The Zyril came from nowhere, and they took everything from us. Now we fight to survive." Jake listened intently, realizing just how much was at stake. This wasn't just about repairing a ship. This was about survival, her people's survival, and his own. As the fire burned low, Lyra looked up at him. "Once we finish the ship, we'll have to leave quickly. The Zyril are getting closer. There's no time to waste. Jake nodded. I'm ready. He didn't know what the future held. He didn't know how this would end. But for the first time since he arrived on the island, Jake felt a sense of purpose. He wasn't just helping Lyra for the adventure anymore. He was helping because it was the right thing to do, because the fate of two worlds rested in his hands. And no matter what happened next, Jake knew one thing for sure. He wasn't going to back down now. The next few days passed in a blur of activity. Jake and Lyra worked tirelessly on her ship, putting aside all the doubts and confusion that had clouded Jake's mind. He still wasn't sure about everything about Lyra's true intentions, about the Zyril, and about what his role in all of this really was. But every time he saw the progress they were making on the ship, every time they shared a quiet moment together, he knew that helping her was the right choice. They spent most of their time in silence, only speaking when necessary. The sound of tools clinking and the hum of alien machinery filled the air as they worked side by side. Despite the tension of the situation, there was a strange sense of peace between them. It was as if the island, the ship, and the mission had become their whole world for the moment. Nothing else mattered but the work at hand. Jake had learned more about the ship than he ever thought possible. Lyra had an amazing ability to teach him, breaking down complex systems into terms he could understand. She showed him how to use her technology, how to harness energy in ways that Earth's engineers could only dream of. It was as if, step by step, he was being prepared for something much bigger than the small world he had known, though he still had many questions. One thing became clear: Lyra wasn't just asking for his help. She was giving him something far more valuable, the chance to make a real difference. One evening, after a long day of repairs, they sat by the fire, the sky turning dark above them. The stars seemed closer than ever before, shining brightly in the clear night sky. Jake couldn't help but feel a strange sense of connection to those distant stars. For the first time in his life, he understood how small Earth really was in the grand scheme of things. Jake, Lyra said softly, breaking his thoughts. Her voice was serious, but there was a quiet intensity in it. I need to talk to you about something important. Jake looked at her, sensing the change in her tone. What is it? Lyra took a deep breath, as if gathering her thoughts before speaking. When the ship is fully repaired, we'll be able to leave, but there's something you need to know before we go. Something I should have told you sooner, but I didn't know how to explain it. Jake's stomach tightened. What are you talking about? Lyra hesitated for a moment, then looked directly into his eyes. The Zero are more dangerous than I let on. They don't just want control of the galaxy. They want to destroy everything that stands in their way: planets, civilizations, even entire species. If we don't stop them, there will be no future for anyone. Jake listened intently, his pulse quickening as Lyra's words sank in. I know they're a threat, but why didn't you tell me the full truth from the start? I could have been more prepared if I knew what I was really up against. Lyra lowered her gaze, looking regretful. I didn't want to scare you, Jake. I thought maybe, if I told you the whole truth too soon, you'd turn away. I couldn't risk that. But now, I can't hold anything back anymore. The Zyril are coming for Earth, just like they came for my people. And when they arrive, they won't stop until they've destroyed everything. It was one thing to know about the Zyril and their attacks, but hearing it from Lyra, hearing the fear in her voice, made it feel all too real. His mind raced, trying to grasp the enormity of the situation. Earth, his home, was about to be in the crosshairs of an enemy so powerful, so ruthless, that it seemed impossible to fight back. But he knew deep down that they couldn't give up. They couldn't let the Zyril win. Lyra reached out, placing her hand on his. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I didn't want to put this weight on you, but you need to understand. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about all of us. Jake looked at her, his thoughts still spinning. He had made a promise to help her, but now the stakes were higher than ever. If he turned away now, if he backed out, the consequences would be far worse than he had ever imagined. Earth could be destroyed. His family, his friends, his entire world could be wiped out. I understand, Jake said quietly. And I'm not backing down. I'll help you stop them. But I need to know what happens next. What's the plan? Lyra nodded, relieved by his answer. Once we finish the repairs, we'll leave the island. My people will know we're coming. We'll make contact with them, and together, we'll form a plan to strike back against the Zyril. We can't defeat them alone. But if we work together, we might stand a chance. Jake thought for a moment, then looked up at the stars. Weight of the decision he had made hung over him, but in his heart he knew there was no turning back. What do you need me to do? Lyra gave him a small, reassuring smile. I need you to trust me. Together, we'll figure out how to stop the Zyril before they destroy everything. Jake's heart pounded in his chest, but for the first time, in days he felt like he was finally making the right choice. He wasn't just helping an alien. He was helping save his own world. As they both sat there, staring at the fire, Jake knew that whatever happened next, he wasn't alone. They'd come this far, and now they would see it through. The Zyril might be coming for Earth, but they would have to go through him first. Let's do it, Jake said, his voice steady and strong. Let's stop them. Lyra nodded, her expression filled with determination. We'll stop them together. The night seemed to hold its breath, the fire crackling softly as the two of them prepared for what was to come. The ship was nearly ready, and once it was, their journey would take them beyond the island, beyond the world they had always known, into a battle that would determine the fate of the galaxy. And Jake knew one thing for sure. He was ready for whatever came next.